But she's lost her mind. I don't know how else to say it.
That's Charles Vallow, Lori Vallow-Daybell's fourth husband.
She thinks she's a resurrected being and a god.
It's January 31st, 2019. He's called police to his home in Gilbert, Arizona.
So what's going on tonight?
He tells them he just returned from a business trip to find his truck missing from the airport. Their joint account is drained. He's locked out of his home, and his kids aren't answering his calls. He blames it all on his wife.
Yesterday was a threat to kill me.
Okay. What did she say yesterday?
She said, "You're not Charles. I don't know who you are, what you did with Charles, but I can murder you now with my powers."
Less than 6 months later, Vallow was shot and killed by his estranged wife's brother, Alex Cox. Even more chilling in hindsight are Vallow's comments about the children.
So how does she pose a threat to your children?
I don't know what she's going to do with them.
Charles' sister hears the desperation in her brother's voice.
That's how he was, always well-spoken, always, he was
in control.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
he just didn't he handled situations and then he'd fall apart later.
I love her to death. This is killing me, officer.
Oh, I can understand.
Our 13th anniversary is next month. We've been at a great marriage. All of a sudden, the last month, it just blew up. She just lost connection.
The couple married in Las Vegas in 2006, according to court records. They met through mutual friends in Texas, where they both lived. Vallow was born and raised in Lake Charles, Louisiana, a star athlete who went to college on a baseball scholarship. His obituary says he was drafted to play semi-pro baseball in Houston in 1977, then turned to a career in financial consulting. Vallow had 2 sons from another marriage. Then he and Lori adopted Joshua Jackson, or JJ, his sister Kay's autistic grandson. On January 31st, 2019, Vallow told police he tried to find Lori at JJ's school and ended up taking Lori's phone.
How did you get her phone?
Because it was in the car this morning when she pulled up to school. I took the keys out of her purse out so she couldn't leave. That's when I called you guys.
Okay.
Somehow she has a spare set of keys and left.
Little did Vallow know that on the same day, his wife went to police with her own complaint about him.
He's mad because I took the money out of our account. It's a joint account, so he wants me to give him money.
This blurry video shows Lori's daughter, Tylee, next to her at the police station.
I caught him cheating, and I had evidence, and I told him about it. And he travels a lot for business, so I told him about it and told him not to come home, and that his stuff would be gone, and that his car would be gone, and I was... So he's a little mad.
It was not the first time Vallow faced allegations of infidelity. His ex-wife told Inside Edition that he was to blame for their short-lived marriage in the 1980s.
There were many affairs or many relationships, and maybe not even relationships, maybe just call them flings, that had happened since the time we were married.
Nevertheless, it was Charles Vallow who tried to end the marriage with Lori first. In a petition filed February 11th, 2019, he repeats what he told police in January.
Her religious stuff is gone way off the deep end.
But Vallow was killed before the couple formally parted ways.
What happened today? How did it get to this?
He came at me with a bat. I just went back to the living room. I'm like, what is your problem?
With the gun again?
Yes. And I said, I want you to put that bat down. And he wouldn't do it. And he's like, and he came at me with the bat again after he'd already hit me in the head. So I shot him to stop him.
Okay, and then what happened?
That was it.
Vallow's loved ones aren't buying it.
If he took a bat and hit you with it, there'd be nothing left. You wouldn't be alive. And so that show that was put on that day of that gentleman sitting on the curb is absolutely a show.
Today, we checked in with Chandler, Arizona police on the latest in the investigation into Charles Vallow's death, and they tell us it's still an active, ongoing investigation. They say that Lori Vallow is a person of interest, a strong investigative lead into the death of her fourth husband, Charles Vallow.
Yeah, it's so tragic. Listening to his words, Ashley, when you hear Charles Vallow, everything he's saying ends up in some way becoming true. He knew what was happening, sort of.
Yeah, and that is so hard for the police. I mean, anyone will tell you, Vinny, I know you've heard this from all of your colleagues who practice law, that the very worst and most difficult aspect of practicing law is family law. And so the majority of those police calls that go out regarding these domestic issues, they all sound like that. And a lot of people say, I'm worried about my kids. But my God, looking back in retrospect, when he says he has these concerns, it is just a gut punch to see that on video today, knowing where those kids ended up and how their remains were treated. That's the other aspect, just how viciously those remains of Tylee were treated and how just unsanctimoniously they were just buried with pets and, wrapped in garbage bags. It's just heartbreaking on all levels.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. We are continuing here tonight. We got a lot more to get to.